that?
It's $1,000,000 just for you if you haven't got one yet.
I have not.
There you go. And on the back, well, number one, don't spend it all in one place. Number back, there is a gospel message. Are you
Worth $1 million.
It is worth $1,000,000. Some might say more.
Yeah.
Right? Are you familiar with the gospel? Any history with that?
I'm a confirmed Catholic.
Confirmed Catholic. Cool. Well, would you mind if we had a little conversation about it?
I'm atheist now, so I do.
Well, that's okay. Just because you're an atheist doesn't mean we can't have a conversation about it.
That's true.
Yeah. Would you?
Sure. Let's have a conversation.
Awesome.
I like talking about it.
Awesome. And your name?
Trenton.
Trenton. I'm Rick. This is my buddy Jeff.
I'm Jeff.
Jeff, nice to meet you.
That's right, my brethren and sistren. We found my hat, and I know that's what everyone was most concerned about. Just kidding. My wife found my hat, and I have no clue how or why. And that's also not true, because I do know exactly how she did it, but it's much more dramatic if I say I don't know how. We are back with another episode, and man, guys, this one was a lot of fun. We got in a conversation, we get into a conversation with Trenton, which, as you'll see in this episode, he has a storied, colorful past. But we're going to get into it. Trenton was a gentleman, and I will say this at the outset. This conversation we had with Trenton, we recorded over an hour, maybe close to over an hour and a half. The battery eventually died, so you guys will see that in later episodes. But let's get it straight into it. This is a great conversation with this young man, and I hope you guys enjoy. If you do like the content, hit that like button and just tell me that you like it in the comments. It really does build me up. It really does. With that, let's get into it.
Let me ask you this. Sometimes I'll go around campus and we'll record these conversations. Are you cool with that, or would you rather us not record?
Yeah, sure. Let's just hope I don't say anything to embarrass myself.
Yes, and the same thing for us, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we have a chill here.
Okay.
Trenton. Okay, I don't know what a confirmed Catholic means. To me, that just means hey, I'm a Catholic.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Is there a difference to that? Here, I'm going to try this.
Went through confirmation, right?
What's my confirmation?
That's what that means, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to turn this on. Cool. All right, so you want to talk about... So Trenton says he's a confirmed Catholic, but we don't know what that means.
So a confirmed Catholic is basically you have to go through a process in the Catholic Church to get your name, and basically you're accepted into the Catholic Church.
Okay.
Officially as a member.
But before that, you're just attending, but
Yeah.
you're not an official member.
Yeah, like
Gotcha.
you'll notice this in sacrament where you do the bread and wine.
Mhm.
So if you're not confirmed,
You don't take
you
those?
kind of like you cross your arms
And you don't take it.
and you don't take it.
Got you.
When you're confirmed, you can.
Got you. So you've done it before.
Yeah.
You've been okay. So and you've taken the bread and the wine and everything.
Yeah.
But now you are
Atheist.
got you. And what got you there?
Well, I never really believed in God in the
Right.
first place because there's just a logical disconnect for me.
Okay.
And it was really kind of just heavily pushed on to me by my parents. My dad's a Roman Catholic, and my mom's Mormon.
Yep.
So religion is really big in my household. It's just, it didn't really click with me, sadly.
Yeah.
And I don't really feel that hole in my life
Right.
that people always talk about, like, you know, religion has helped me through this and that and this and that,
Yeah.
where it's just like, I've lived a pretty blessed life without it. I'm not sure if that's because the devil is trying to add favor onto me and, like, keep me the way I am.
I'm going to put a pin in that. You can see the first thing that kind of strikes me here is Trenton opens up the conversation saying, hey, I'm an atheist. I have a logical disconnect when it comes to the belief in God. But he just said that, you know, at least there's a piece of him that believes that maybe perhaps I'm receiving favor or good things in my life from Satan, and he's kind of leading me away from God without me knowing it. Now, he might be just saying that as a way of trying to, put himself in the shoes of his parents and try to understand what the world would look like from their perspective. I'm going to store this idea away in my head, this idea that, you know, he's at least open to the idea that perhaps he's been led astray because of Satan, right? I'm going to hold on to that idea because that means he at least has some opening, some willingness to believe that there is something supernatural, even though he says that he's an atheist. So I'm just going to keep that in my mind. I'm going to keep that in my head and see if it is something useful to bring up later in the conversation.
But the way I view religion is trust and ethics. So before civilization started, we couldn't grow a population past 150. Do you know why that is?
I don't know.
Because after 150 people, you don't really know that person.
Right. So you
So
lose trust in them.
you lose trust, and then society breaks down. And you can see it in the first river civilizations where they came up with their own gods. And this is where they thrived, because then they had ethical beliefs where it's just like there's an afterlife. This is how you get there. There's punishment. There's reward. And for me, it's great and all. It's probably more fun to have an afterlife. I just don't see it.
Right.
I kind of believe that religion is good for keeping people happy and ethically in line. But for myself, I feel competent and confident that I'm making good choices and not hurting people in the process. So I don't really see a problem in me being atheist. I know there's a bad connotation to it, but as long as I'm doing right by people and not hurting anyone, I feel like we're doing all right.
Yeah, would you say that, 'cause you mentioned that there's a bad connotation with atheists, right?
Yes.
Would you say that exists, that it still exists in today's culture, or do you think that that's more so limited to like a religious culture? You grew up with a religious household, so that would have been frowned upon. But I would say maybe
definitely it's more concentrated for the religious people because they have favoritism towards it. They're a little biased, but people are more accepting nowadays. You see it with a lot of LGBTQ movements and people are becoming more accepting. I haven't been ostracized for being atheist at all.
not from your family.
Not from my family, not from my friends, not from anyone. I get interesting conversations like this.
There you go.
So there's that.
Okay, so we talked about, because I was interested in about the question or the idea of, hey, it's a bad connotation, but I would say nowadays it's probably not. So actually in some circles you'd be like, oh, that's a good thing, right?
It's almost like more enlightened.
Right.
You
You
all that.
transcended the shackles of religion or a God. Okay, so in terms of, and you talked about trust, and when you said trust, civilizations are based on trust and ethics, right? It sounded like you were talking about you couldn't trust one another because the civilization was getting so big, and if your community's so large, there's no way you'd know more than 150 people. So talk to me about, in terms of the ethics, how does ethics play into the growth of a civilization?
All right, so you might be asking, Rick, why are you asking these questions? That's not the gospel. I thought you were out here to start talking to people about how they're going to get to heaven. Well, we're really out here because we love people. We want to get to know people. We want to have conversations. And when and if possible, we want to try and use those conversations strategically to bring them to Christ or to, shed some light of the gospel. Well, what I'm doing here is I'm just asking him questions and wanting to get to know him more, wanting to understand more about what he believes. But I am being intentional in that I'm asking him about this idea of ethics that he himself brought up. And what I plan to do is use this idea of ethics to introduce an idea of morality. And once we talk about morality, then perhaps we can talk about right and wrong. And if we talk about right and wrong, then that's a fantastic segue to good and bad, good and evil. And how do you know what's good and evil? And talking about the 10 Commandments, and you see where this is going. But really, I just want to say, have a conversation with people. Really get plugged in, want to know who they are and what they believe. Really demonstrate that you love them and you actually care about what they're talking about.
Okay. Well, ethics, and when I say ethics and trust, I'm talking about do we believe in the same thing?
Same values.
Same values. I don't want to kill you. I don't want to steal from you. I don't want to hurt you in any way.
Right.
not everyone has that same ideology.
Right.
Some people cheat, steal, do whatever they can to get what they want. I believe that because religions became a thing and people all like they accepted the same values under that umbrella term religion. So you see a lot of the same ideologies like with Hinduism or actually Buddhism, where it's just like be disciplined, you know, be faithful, and you know, just be a good person. So
Right.
that's kind of like where I see the trust and what would I call it?
At trust and ethics, right?
Ethics, yeah.
So the ethics would say just be a good person.
Yeah,
right?
just be a good person.
Have you ever heard of, in terms of what you're talking about here, some people would say, well, it sounds like you've grown up with the benefit of what some would consider a Christian culture, a Christian ethic, and yet you say Christianity is, or the ethics there are not necessary, or the Christianity is, you know, obsolete, but its ethics are good. Would you agree with that?
I completely agree with that. I like the ethics of the Christians and most religions. I'm not sure if there's any bad religions out there. I guess some people are taking religion to extremes before, but yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought.
Well, yeah, the idea was, because I've heard of one person, I think it was Bill Maher, or maybe it wasn't. It was somebody had said something like, you know, to grow up in a Christian culture, but then also to say, or to grow up in some kind of religious culture, like you said, all religions are good. If you were to grow up into a religious culture and steal, that's a strong word, but steal their ethic, but then kind of jettison their belief in God, would kind of be like sitting in, you know, God's lap and smacking him, saying, I'm taking your rules and I like what you say, but I really don't like you. What would you say to that?
Well, I don't feel like I am spitting in anyone's face. Like, yes, we are doing the same things. It's not like we're hurting people, because it is like the good things I'm taking from. It's not like I'm Satan or any demonic figure. God, I am really tired. So I'm like really losing myself right now.
And I think you're doing fine. It's just a conversation. It's not like it's not like a debate or anything. No, I think you're doing good.
Thank you. I kind of just lost myself.
That's okay.
I was just doing an exam for like 5 hours.
How'd you do?
Don't know yet. It was more
How do you feel about it?
I felt confident.
Good. What class?
Economics of immigration, which
Economics of immigration. What? What department of
it's
college is that?
Business economics.
Gotcha.
Building right there.
Yeah. Is that the Coggin College?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I graduated.
Nice.
Yeah, business administration degree. So I just asked whatever can get me out of here the quickest is what I want. And they said take it.
Hey man, economics and international business. I did the most broad stuff I could think of.
Right. Well, international is a great. I think it's a great time, man.
Mm-hmm.
The world is so small now. Okay, so let me get into this.
Okay.
So we talked about ethics. So okay, let me put this idea to you. So if you believe in these ethics and these moral standards, right? But you don't have, or the question somebody might say, but how do you determine what moral standards are right or best?
I don't really know how I can determine it. I can just, it really comes into demographics, I guess. Like I grew up around Christians, like you said, so like
you have a bias towards that.
Yeah, learned belief, and so it's kind of trained in me, I guess. It's not something I can like turn off.
Yeah.
Or, like I can learn new things and then adopt these new habits, but right now I guess those are like my natural.
Yeah, I mean that's how you grew up, so that's your assumed.
Yeah, that's my assumed identity because I grew up Christian.
Would you consider yourself to be a good person?
I don't have the say in that.
Okay.
But no.
But no.
All right, guys, we're going to pause it there. We're going to pick up next week with the continuation of this conversation. But you see how the conversation was just natural. I let him kind of talk about whatever he wanted to talk about. And then, thank be to God, we were able to turn this conversation to what is the beginning of taking it down to a spiritual topic. It's specifically the gospel, but you got to take steps to get there. And right now, we've asked kind of that first step question. well, would you consider yourself to be a good person? And so we're going to see where that goes. As you can see, he says no, he's not going to be. He doesn't think he is. So we'll see what he means next week. If you guys liked it, please hit that like button, subscribe, give me some comments, anything to kind of help me have that juice to keep going. And be praying for me and Trenton and all the other people that we've been talking to and witnessing to. All right, God bless you guys. Walk worthy, my brethren and my sister. Take care.